At 16, you're forced to undergo surgery to become pretty, or resist and face the consequences. Tally's world shatters when she uncovers the dark truth behind the perfect transformation. Will she risk everything to fight the system? Stay tuned to find out. In the future, Earth's resources have been depleted, plunging society into chaos and war. To save the remnants of civilization, the world's top scientists develop genetically modified orchids that become the new energy source. To end the conflict, scientists introduce the transformation. At 16, everyone goes a life-altering operation, turning them into their most perfect version, known as pretties. Living in the city, pretties are content and conflict-free. Those who haven't had the procedure yet are called uglies and remain in Uglyville's dorms. Callie eagerly awaits her transformation. She frequently uses a mirror app to imagine her post-op self. Callie has 3 months until her transformation, but Pierce's operation is tomorrow. They share matching scars on their hands, vowing the doctors won't remove them when they become pretties. Suddenly, a patrol drone zooms by, forcing them to hurry back to their dorms. The next day, during assembly, Callie overhears students talking about the smoke, a rumored place outside the city led by someone named David. Supposedly, some escape the city and hide there, but most dismiss it as myth. Just then, Governor Cable's hologram appears, preaching the importance of being pretty and perfect. Those turning 16 are called up, and Callie says goodbye to Pierce, promising to meet him at the bridge in a month. After a month, Callie sneaks out to the bridge, but Pierce hasn't shown up. Worried, she ties a rope and climbs beneath the bridge, moving dangerously toward the city. She hides behind plants, but when a partygoer drops a mask, Callie grabs it. The mask projects a hologram over her body, making it look like she's wearing a fancy dress. Now able to blend in, Callie enters the party, mesmerized by the decorations. Eventually, she spots Pierce, but he looks completely different and doesn't recognize her. She removes her mask and confronts him, asking why he didn't meet her at the bridge. Pierce, now distant, explains that things have changed and he doesn't know how to relate to her anymore. Callie is stunned, especially when she notices his scar is gone. At that moment, the security system detects her, and Callie is forced to flee as guards close in. Trapped on a balcony, she grabs a bungee jacket and leaps. The long fall is softened by the jacket, which bounces her gently to the ground. She quickly retreats by climbing back under the bridge. While making her escape, Callie accidentally kicks a stone into the water, alerting a drone. As it closes in to arrest her, her classmate Shay suddenly appears on a hoverboard and urges Callie to hop on. They speed away, the drone giving chase, but Shay's expert driving and daring maneuvers through the woods allow them to lose it. The next day, Shay brings a second hoverboard, teaching Callie how to ride it. Callie tries but immediately falls. Later at school, Callie is shocked when she sees Shay returning a book to some girls. Books aren't common anymore. As the days pass, Shay continues teaching Callie how to use the hoverboard. As Callie becomes more skilled on the hoverboard, the two girls start doing tricks and riding on ramps for fun. Suddenly, Shay brings up the smoke and takes Callie to the edge of the woods. Leaving their rings on some branches, they ride their hoverboards across the river, passing the border. They eventually reach the ruins of an old city, where Shay shows Callie relics from the past. Shay finally tells Callie the truth. The smoke is real. Shay confesses that she refuses to get the operation and plans to leave for the smoke that night. She asks Callie to come with her, but Callie declines, saying she doesn't want to be free, she wants to be pretty. They share a hug before Shay leaves on her hoverboard. The next day, on Callie's 16th birthday, she goes to the clinic for her operation. But everyone is called except for her. Instead, a guard takes Callie away in an aircraft to meet Dr. Cable. Dr. Cable explains that Shay is missing, and when Callie insists she doesn't know anything, Cable checks a screen showing her vitals, indicating she's lying. Cable warns that Shay is in danger, claiming David has brainwashed her and is known for holding people against their will. When Callie keeps denying any knowledge, Cable sends her back to her dorm without performing the surgery. That night, Callie is startled by a noise at her window. It's Pierce. She tells him what happened, and he urges her to tell Cable everything so they can be together. The next day, Callie is summoned back to Dr. Cable, who claims that David is developing a weapon to attack the city. She needs Callie to infiltrate the smoke and locate it. Reluctantly, Callie agrees, and Dr. Cable promises she'll get the surgery if she succeeds. Cable hands her a necklace with a flashing light that Callie must activate once she finds the weapon's location. Afterward, Callie follows Shay's directions to the smoke, using her hoverboard to ride the old roller coaster for miles, heading deeper into the unknown. She comes across abandoned train tracks, which she follows to find the smoke. Over the next few days, Callie survives in the wild like she read in the book, growing to admire nature in ways she never had before. She even climbs a mountain, marveling at the world around her. The train tracks eventually stop at a large chasm. With no way across, Callie gets back on her hoverboard and makes a daring jump. In midair, the hoverboard shuts down and she plummets at a terrifying speed. Just before she hits the ground, the board reactivates, allowing her to land safely on the other side. Following the instructions, Callie waits in a field of flowers. Meanwhile, Dr. Cable brings Pyrrhus to her office, revealing he visited Callie's dorm because Cable asked him to. Pyrrhus admits he felt more clear-headed in town, like his old self again. Cable then reveals a select few have been chosen for an experimental new procedure, and Pyrrhus agrees to undergo surgery for body enhancements. That night, Callie wakes up coughing. Smoke fills the field around her, and it's on fire. Unsure of what to do, she panics, but suddenly a mysterious figure grabs her and whisks her away. The person is David, who begins scanning Callie and her belongings for any trackers. He finds one hidden in her hoverboard and removes it, but his scanner doesn't react to the necklace. At the same time, Cable's team receives an alert that the tracker has been deactivated, so she sends her men to search the area. In the morning, David and Callie reach a smoke outpost where Callie is reunited with Shay. Shay is thrilled to see her, but Croy, one of the smokes, is suspicious of Callie's arrival. That night, while camping, Shay asks about the necklace, and Callie lies, claiming it was a gift from Pyrrhus. Callie, still shaken by Cable's warnings, tries to voice her concerns, but Shay dismisses them, thinking Callie is there to convince her to return to the city. An argument follows, but Callie agrees to give the smoke a fair chance. The next day, David explains to Callie that the smokes purposely set fires to destroy the genetically modified orchids because they are toxic and ruin the land. Callie, shocked, doesn't believe him. The group takes off in an old helicopter they've repaired with solar panels, flying over areas once covered with orchids, now barren deserts. From the air, Callie can see the devastation for herself. Using a flamethrower, Shay burns down as many orchids as possible, fighting to reclaim the land from the destruction caused by the city's lies. Just as Croy's tablet detects someone approaching, David lowers the helicopter to hide in the smoke. The sudden movement loosens the rope holding Shay, causing her to fall. With Cable's scouts drawing closer, Callie acts quickly. She ties a bag to the end of the rope as a weight and throws it off the helicopter before using it to rappel down. The helicopter starts to lose lift as Callie searches frantically for Shay among the flames. She finds her just in time, and when a scout gets too close, Callie grabs the flaming bag and hurls it at him. With the scouts closing in, Callie and Shay hold onto the rope as the helicopter lifts off, narrowly escaping as a scout tries to jump aboard. After they land, Croy accuses Callie of being the reason the scouts found them, but Shay defends her, and David agrees. He believes anyone willing to risk their life for the smoke deserves a chance. The group sets up camp for the night. The next day, Callie is blindfolded and taken to the smoke's main settlement, a thriving community living in harmony with nature. The most striking thing is that everyone in the smoke is there by choice. As the train tracks are repurposed into tools, Callie learns they don't make weapons because the community is committed to pacifism. In time, David teaches Callie how to use a crossbow. It takes several attempts, but she eventually hits the target, and the two grow closer during their lessons. On their way back to camp, David reveals that he's never seen the city. He was born and raised in the wild with his family. Callie is stunned by this revelation, especially since she barely remembers her own parents. As a gesture of friendship, David gives her a pair of gloves. Later, during a walk with David, Callie brings up rumors of a weapon designed to destroy the city. In response, David takes her to a secluded house where she meets his parents. Oz and Maddie, former cosmetic surgeons for the government, reveal a shocking truth. The cosmetic changes that transform people into pretties also alter their brains. The surgery not only makes them more attractive, but also dulls their intellect and slows their thinking. Many people have died from the procedure, though the deaths were covered up. Oz and Maddie fled the city to live naturally in the wild and have been working to recreate the cure, though they lack a key synthetic component that could potentially disrupt the city's control over its citizens. After the conversation, Callie makes a definitive choice. She throws her tracking necklace into the fire, deciding to fully align herself with the smoke. She tries to confess to David that she's done terrible things, but David reassures her that she's a different person now, and the two share a kiss. The next morning, city aircraft arrive and attack the smoke. Chaos ensues as the rebels try to flee, but the scouts, enhanced to be faster and stronger, are relentless. Traps like nets and logs manage to capture some, but the scouts overpower them and capture rebels, including Shay. Tally and David manage to find a hiding spot. Tally is horrified to see that Pyrrhus has become one of the scouts. At the same time, Oz and Maddie are captured, and Cable arrives, demanding to know where David is. The parents refuse to talk, and Cable orders Pyrrhus to kill Oz. Tally and David rush out to stop him, but they are too late. Cable then reveals Tally's betrayal to the entire group, telling the rebels that Tally had been working for her all along. The smoke members turn against her, in shock and anger. Amidst the chaos, Maddie secretly slips the serum into David's pocket. Cable announces that everyone will be taken back to the city to receive the surgery. Tally sneaks into the supply shack and starts a fire. She grabs a crossbow and, As the smoke rebels scatter to escape the city's scouts, one of the enhanced scouts chases David, but Tally takes him down with a well-aimed arrow. Pyrrhus, now one of Cable's loyal soldiers, wants to continue the pursuit, but Cable orders a retreat. The remaining scouts destroy Maddie's research and set the area ablaze while forcing the captured prisoners onto the aircraft. After the aircraft departs, David quickly gathers any surviving supplies to launch a rescue mission. Tally approaches him to help, but David, overcome with rage and betrayal, attacks her with a knife, barely stopping himself in time. He refuses to trust her, but Tally insists he needs her knowledge of the city if he hopes to rescue the others. David reluctantly agrees. Back in the city, Tally seeks out a group of students who have read Shay's book and introduces them to David, proving that the smoke is real. With their help, Tally borrows an interface ring and mobilizes a group of teenagers to stage a protest. Using their hoverboards, they create a massive display in the sky, writing, "The smoke lives," as a message of rebellion. Meanwhile, David and Tally wait for the aircraft to depart from the clinic and sneak aboard using their hoverboards and bungee vests. They stealthily navigate the aircraft's tunnels, but when Tally tries to hack a door, it fails. A pretty opens the door unexpectedly, and David immediately attacks. After a brief struggle, David overpowers the pretty, taking his interface ring and locking him out in the corridor. As alarms begin to blare, Tally and David manage to find the prisoners' cells and use the ring to free them all. However, Tally is devastated when she learns from Croy that Shay has already undergone the surgery and been turned into a pretty. Determined to save her, David, Tally, and Maddie search the lab. But when they find Shay, it's too late. She's fully transformed and swears she loves her new life. Tally breaks down in tears, apologizing, but Shay insists she's happy with her new existence. At that moment, Cable and Pyrrhus arrive, forcing the trio into the surgery machine to undergo the same procedure. As the process begins and the needles move closer, the Smoke's helicopter appears, with Croy opening fire using a flamethrower. Cable and Pyrrhus are forced to flee, and the damage to the machines halts the operation just in time. Tally, David, and Maddie escape, taking Shay along with them. Maddie retrieves the missing synthetic component needed to complete her cure from the lab. On the rooftop, the group encounters Pyrrhus once more. Tally tries to reason with him, reminding him of their past and the scar that gave him his nickname. For a moment, Pyrrhus seems to recognize her, gently touching her face. However, David, thinking it's an attack, tackles Pyrrhus. The fight is brutal, with Pyrrhus overpowering David. Before Pyrrhus can deliver a fatal blow, Tally speeds in on her hoverboard, knocking Pyrrhus off the edge of the building. As he clings to the ledge, he utters Tally's nickname before falling into a waterfall below. With Pyrrhus gone, the group escapes on hoverboards, witnessing the rebellious teens in the sky causing drones to crash into each other. They flee to the abandoned city, where Maddie finishes mixing the serum needed to counteract the brain-altering effects of the surgery. However, she warns that it's impossible to predict whether the cure will work or cause harmful side effects, so Tally volunteers to be the test subject. She plans to let the city capture her and perform the surgery, after which she'll take the serum. She promises to leave a sign if the cure works. As Cable's aircraft approaches, Tally bids a final farewell to her friends. She willingly lets the scouts arrest her, sacrificing herself for the chance to make things right. Sometime later, Tally is seen living the life of a perfect pretty in a lavish apartment, seemingly content with her new life. However, a small scar on her hand reveals the truth. Tally is still herself and is lying as a spy inside the system.